when we packed up and left New Zealand, we were ready for combat. But our job was to knock out tanks. And on the islands, tanks didn't do very well. They went down in the mud. And so they used them for artillery. So how were we going to make up by going in there? We had half tracks, and that wouldn't work. So they broke us up. They felt we weren't needed. Went back to the States and formed the 5th Marine Division.
Okay. So
that's when we formed the 5th Division.
So you went to New Zealand first,
yeah,
then
the first one was the Anti-Tank Battalion.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went on 2 tours. And then the next time we were ready, we went to New Zealand. And we stayed there and trained for a while, then loaded up and got around Honolulu, went all through the channel, on our way to Saipan, got off of that and loaded LSTs, which had 6 amphibious tractors down below. That was going to take us to combat. And we took off for 2 weeks, and one morning we woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're banging away, and airplanes flying, and we were right in a battle. And about 2 miles away was Mount Suribachi. And we saw that mountain. We could see it. And the Navy and the Air Force hammered that thing. It was a cloud of smoke all over the place.
Before we get there, when did you become a flamethrower?
I was issued a flamethrower to begin with in the 5th Division because that's what we were going to train for. My job was, of course, to knock out pillboxes, fortifications, burn them out.
What does a flamethrower carry in combat?
5 gallons of fuel, oil, gasoline mixture, a lot of fire, no napalm. Napalm's a jelly and it throws chunks like that and burns. We didn't use that. The tanks used that.
Okay.
And they could shoot it way out.
How far did you carry a sidearm at all, or?
I carried a .45 because I couldn't carry a rifle. Because that gun is about that long.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about how much distance could you get with a flamethrower?
How far would it go?
Yeah.
I would say with a straight shot, full force, you probably get 65, 70 feet.
Wow,
right in there. Oh, yeah. But it wouldn't be as effective if you burst in the entrances, because you're going into an open cave. There's always an entrance, and you blow fire in there. Just blow a couple of bursts like that. You have 6 to 7 bursts. That's all you've got. If you held the trigger back in 15 seconds, you're empty.
That's it?
That quick.
Wow.
So you have to learn to swoosh. Swoosh. That's it. You got about 5 or 6 like that. 5 gallons gone. Yeah.
Wow. How many?
2.5 in this tank, 2.5 in that tank. The pressure tank was in the middle. Yeah.
So there's 3 tanks.
Yeah, well, it's 3 cylinders.
Okay.
Yeah. That middle one was reinforced steel. And the other tanks were close to it. The only thing that I would think of is if they shot me from the back and a round hit between the tanks, it would get right through in my back. But if it hit those, they were oval, so it would probably ricochet off.
Interesting. Let's talk about the gourmet breakfasts the morning of the invasion.
The gourmet breakfast. We got up in the morning, and they had chow on top side. They brought it up because the amphibious tractors are down there. We had to live on that thing for 2 weeks. On top, on a blanket, that was it. And we had to leave the blankets there when we got off. And all of a sudden, every now and then we'd see a Jap Zero in one of our planes fight overhead. We'd see that. And then the shells from the warship, the battleships and that, you could hear them shoo, 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 like that, and then we'd watch where it would hit. Well, anyway, they brought the chow up, and we had steak and eggs. I never had a steak in the Marine Corps. I had a lot of eggs, but not a steak. So we're standing there eating at makeshift tables, and I said to this kid next to me, I said, "Hey, buddy," I said, "what's with the steak and eggs?" He said, "Graves, think about it. What do they do with convicts before they execute them?" That's the kind of humor we had going into battle. It's crazy. But that's where we were. Until we got in it. And it was reality.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, we passed by a transport, and the Navies were up on the bow waiting for us to go by, you know. And they'd have a cup of coffee, and they'd say, "Give it to them there, Marine, give it to them." They would, nice, "Give me a cup." No,
Did they give you a mission brief before you went in?
Give us what?
A mission brief? Did they?
Yes, oh yes, we had briefing.
What did they tell you?
They said, if you can take a prisoner, take him. We don't know a thing about this island. We know it's 8 square miles. We have an estimate of 22,000 Japanese soldiers on it.
22,000?
22,000. Yes.
How many Marines were going in?
That would be 65,000. 3 divisions. There's 20,000 in a division. Well, 20, 40, 60.
So 60,000 Marines took
Yeah.
22,000
Yes.
Japanese at
Yep.
Iwo Jima.
Can you imagine on 8 square miles?
No.
But you see, they fought underground, then came up, fired, and went back down underground. So
Well-
they weren't actually fighting on top side, you know.
Why did we want to invade Iwo Jima?
Iwo Jima? Iwo Jima lie in the way, in the path of Saipan, our B-52, B-52. Is that
Bombers?
Right? Yeah, 52s were there. And, excuse me, B-29s. The B-29s were there, and they went direct flights there to Tokyo, dropped their bombs, and had to get back to Saipan. The Corsairs that from Saipan could not travel that far. They ran out of fuel. So they wanted to have that island for a place to land in case they were hit. And also, the P-51 would meet them, take them there, and take them all the way back to Saipan. It traveled that far.
Okay.
The P-51s. So Roosevelt designed this. That was his idea. And I thought it was a costly thing, but when it was all over, we saved 29,000 Air Force personnel in some of our planes.
Wow. What was the mission brief? When they told you,
What did they tell us?
what did they tell you?
Well, number one, if you can take a prisoner, take him. If you can't, you kill him. That was just primary. That was it. Because what could they tell us? They tried to talk about the airstrips that were fortified, but they really didn't know. I mean, it was just a lot of guesswork. So I think that we were surprised an awful lot as we fought on that island. We were surprised.
So you landed.
They had a 500. They had it at Camp Pendleton. I don't know if it's still there. They had it out in front on display, but they had it made something like a 500 MG rocket, and when it launched, it went like that, and you could see it. You could see it, and it would drop and blow up. It was a rugged thing. It could only go short, but it could go all over the 8 square miles. And that was the thing that we tried to find. We could never find it. Well, what happened was we were told that we were going to, well, see, I'm going too fast because we had left Suribachi, gone to Hill 362A. We lost our battalion there. And my job the next morning was to turn my frame tower in, grab demolition, and another man and I, we went up And we fixed a shape charge to drop that top in because that's where they were firing out of on our battalion.